is haunting. Even right now, his performance, every so often a quiet moment comes up and he'll just pop into my head. That is how good he did and how deserving he could be of getting at least an Oscar nomination, let alone a win. And B, it is a beautifully shot, beautifully executed movie from start to finish. But that being said, my immediate reaction, it was kind of indecisive. I really don't know how I feel about this film. When Todd Philips declared that he snuck a real movie inside a comic book movie, I don't think truer words have ever been spoken. But then it makes you think, well, if it wasn't called Joker, would we even care? We'll discuss next. Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by On Location Tours, the Super Tour of New York City. Discover where your favorite superheroes save the day on the Super Tour of New York City. You'll see over 40 filming locations for movies and TV shows like The Avengers, Spider-Man, and Jessica Jones. Receive 10% off with code SECRETS at checkout, SECRETS. I took a tour myself. It's absolutely amazing. If you get Chris or Jason, they are wonderfully knowledgeable people. The tour itself is fantastic. Definitely recommend it. Even if you're just visiting, we had a lot of people from other countries or other states visiting that were on the tour. Or you're like me and you're a native New Yorker. Check it out. Secrets of the Sire starts now.
Secrets of the Sire.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Sire Studios digital network, secretsofthesire.com, youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, and twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire. And we are on the Castworks Industries Comedy Network. It's pretty exciting. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always joined by my co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Hassan Godwin. As I mentioned in the
mic.
Yeah, no, well, it's okay. As I mentioned in the opener as well, we are brought to you by the Super Tour of New York City. Discover where your favorite superheroes save the day on the Super Tour of New York City. You'll see over 40 filming locations from movies and TV shows like The Avengers, Spider-Man, and Jessica Jones. Receive 10% off with the code SECRETS, SECRETS, at checkout. I wonder why they didn't just use Sire, SIRE. It's easier. Heroes, comics, and more. Go to secretsofthesire.com/onlocation or go to onlocationtours.com. We have a Joker-filled movie review. We have New York Comic Con review. And we have it all tonight. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good for Wednesday. You know, hump day.
I'm
Mike.
Oh, you love that
Still
thing.
love that.
No one gets that. Like no one.
Everybody gets Mike.
No
Everybody, trust me.
Gets that.
Right.
You know, in my declining age, in my declining physical, presence on Earth,
Yes.
Here's the sad part, right? If this was 10 years ago, we boothed our way in, and we're going to, again, go through New York Comic Con a little bit later in the show. We're going to actually spin the racks at New York Comic Con, give you all the lowdown on what went down. In my heyday, every night at a convention was a drinking night. A drinking night, and or if you didn't drink, you don't have to drink, but you would stay out. You'd stay out till like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Every single night, I was home in bed by 10 o'clock, and I am still exhausted. The only exception was Friday night. I got to have a couple drinks with a buddy of mine who's a frequent listener to the show, Dave Rosenberg. It's nice to see you. Good to hang out. I literally had 3 drinks, went home, and was in bed by 11:30. Just recovered. And this is like, even just like a night out, it takes like a good 3 days just to recover. It's sad. It's sad.
Hey man, when we were doing that, when we were doing it for Wizard.
Oh yeah.
We were doing the Wizard World shows, and we were doing crowd control because a lot of times you did crowd control with me. I primarily did crowd control. You bounced around. You had like multiple jobs in those situations.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah.
But man, I mean, the first few years, hell yeah. Knuckles, hell, the hanging wherever we could get, and staggering back to the hotel room, and waking up at the blurry 7 o'clock, 6 to 7 o'clock in the morning, shower, get down to the show floor, get ready for. I mean, and it worked. It worked we did it well. And then I remember, I don't know, 5 years in, I remember hitting a wall one weekend, and it dawned on me. And I was like, you know what? This was the conversation I had with myself.
Yeah.
If Phil passes out,
Phil Colligan,
I could take him back to the hotel room. If I pass out, people are going to leave me here.
Yes.
On the floor.
Yes, you will be. And this was back before social media, so at least you.
I mean, I wouldn't be humiliated, but I would be. So I'm like, well, perhaps if I just go back now, while I can still walk and semi think straight, I might have an easier time tomorrow, and I wouldn't be, humiliated, and mortified overnight.
This does not. Yeah, this does not hype up New York Comic Con in any way, shape, or form. No. However, so we don't have stories like this, unfortunately, from New York Comic Con. So it doesn't actually help us. But physically, it's helping us now. It's helping us now.
It's just the knowledge. That's where the seed was sown. Like maybe I shouldn't drink a lot. Maybe I should. Maybe if I had to get up early tomorrow, I should go to bed early.
Well, we will give you our
wake up and do my job.
Our sober review of New York Comic Con. We've also got Kevin Sharp from Syfywire coming on to talk Joker with us. Give us a little backstory, a little.
He's awesome.
Little behind the scenes of all this stuff, so that But I guess we should just get into it. Here's our Sire Bites Joker edition. I love that clip. All right. First of all, we'll start with the Sire Bites before we get into the review. Joker slays box office records, laughing all the way to the bank. Joker slays the record books. The Warner Brothers films, according to Hollywood Reporter, opened to $93.5 million domestically and over $140 million overseas for a $234 million haul globally. Monday, it was one of the biggest ticket getters a Monday has ever seen in October as well, too. It topped last year's Venom. So by the numbers, whatever scrutiny the film might have had coming in, controversy, it did done well. It did done well. It also broke a number of records for the individual performers. It was the best opening weekend for Robert De Niro, Joaquin Phoenix, and Todd Phillips.
Wow. For Robert De Niro, even from his heyday, right?
Yeah,
so wow, that's substantial
weekend ever. And Hollywood Reporter's Pamela McClintock talks about the blockbuster as a wake-up call to Hollywood. I think Joker's debut is another wake-up call, one that is coming in on Batman's red phone. They can't help that. Telling everyone in the industry that R-rated superhero films are here to stay. Hopefully Disney will take that call soon. If they don't, DC will be happy to staff the call center with.
Yeah, and they can, because it's a. I don't think it has legs.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. So, you and I were talking over the weekend, and I sent you this over the weekend too, just to kind of be like, hey, last week we were thinking like maybe Todd Phillips was trying to create a buffer. If the film doesn't do well by kind of calling out the controversy. In this case, the controversy, I think, drove people to the theaters, right?
It's a possibility. It's a very strong possibility. That's what the cause was. Look, the other side of it is it's a really pretty movie. It's a really well-made movie. And that always helps, So the first batch of people go, angry. And then they tell their friends, and then their friends go because of the quality that they see, and so on and so on. So.
Yeah, so I mean, we can just get right into it. We can do our Secrets of the Sire Joker review. I touched upon this in the cold open a little bit, but I walked out, and I put it on Facebook that I just didn't know what to make of the movie. because ultimately there was. This is going to be a broken record. We're going to say this over and over again, as everyone else says this. Joaquin Phoenix is incredible as this character, Arthur Fleck. You're watching this slow demise of a human being. That being said, I walked out of the theater feeling kind of empty. I kind of walked out feeling as if, and it wasn't, again, as if it was a different kind of empty. It wasn't as if I had eaten lots of candy. You know, it wasn't like it was Halloween night and I just kind of stuffed my face full of candy and now my stomach hurt after. It was more along the lines of like I was eating rice cakes the entire movie. Like that's what it felt like. I was eating and I was consuming. But then kind of when I left the theater, I kind of felt, you know.
I'm still hungry.
I wasn't.
After
that's
all
the
those
thing.
rice cakes.
I didn't. I didn't want to eat anymore. I had eaten the entire time, and I guess we're using this analogy and going way too far with it. I don't know how else to describe this feeling of I just consumed something for 2 hours, and I walked out not feeling hungry, but not feeling satisfied.
It fell short, maybe, of being an event because it didn't really have an eventful. It didn't have an eventful outcome.
Mm-hmm.
It had a violent outcome.
Yeah.
But it's being constantly compared to more so than King of Comedy. It's got the structure of King of Comedy, but it's being more so compared to Taxi Driver. Right. Taxi Driver has this spectacular violent ending, this nihilistic kind of violent ending.
Yeah.
Where, villains are killed by another, potential villain. He's unhinged, he's not connected, whatever. And so it gives you kind of a visceral, you support him, Travis Bickle. You support him until he does something very despicable. And then you're like, holy crap, I don't know how I feel about this because I was with him all the way up until he started murdering people. And now I don't know who's the hero, who's the villain, whatever. And then you're not allowed any catharsis. You don't know how to get any closure with it, and then you end up walking out, and then you're just in shock, right?
Right.
This movie kind of lets you off the hook because it's kind of like a horror movie. It's like Friday the 13th, where everybody who deserves it gets their comeuppance, But then it stops short of him committing some kind of amazing atrocity. So when he's celebrated for it, you're kind of like, all right. What exactly are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Of what exactly is the outcome supposed to mean to me?
Just a note for our audience, and this is actually good because we haven't done any spoiling yet. This is our spoiler-filled review. So if you haven't seen it, keep watching anyway. Just turn the sound low. Subscribe.
Go see it and come back and watch us.
No. Just run. We need run time. Just keep running. Run through the video, run through the audio, whatever it is. Just keep playing us. Download us if you got it on Apple Podcasts and iHeart Radio, all that fun stuff. But this is spoiler. Robert, you mentioned comeuppance, but Robert De Niro's character kind of gets a comeuppance that I didn't think he deserved. Like he wasn't. It wasn't. It's as if someone shot Jay Leno. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, well,
here's the irony.
I just made fun of Joker, but it's like, wait a minute. Well, I mean, he kind of just. I mean,
here's the freaking irony of the whole thing. You got this movie, it comes out, people are appalled by the violence and stuff like that, and they say you shouldn't glorify gun violence, especially in the epidemic that this country is going through, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And Todd Phillips comes out and says, oh, it's a woke culture, it's trying to shut me down, and this cancel culture, this and that. Yeah, but you just made a movie about what happens when people punch down at other people. When you start making fun of handicapped people, when you start making fun of people who aren't who are unfortunate and maybe disabled or whatever, and then people shoot them.
Yeah.
So the cancel culture is, hey, and I'm not justifying cancel culture by any stretch of the imagination, but the principle behind it, because it is being abused. It is often just like any weapon; it's abused.
It's a weapon, right?
Did I say otherwise? I said it. Just like any weapon, it's abused, right?
Yeah, no, I'm backing you.
Yeah,
that was.
yeah.
Are you just not? Are you not used to me supporting what you're saying?
Because
Because Casey from Bag Howdy Funky, I saw him this weekend. He's like, you and Hassan, you guys are at each other. I'm like, I hate that guy. then I punched Casey in the face.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I hate you.
Flip my entire convention table open.
Yeah.
Just making some fun. That'll be our New York Comic Con review.
The principle behind cancel culture is, hey, stop punching the people who can't defend themselves, right?
Right.
You're going to get canceled for doing something despicable. It started out with despicable people, like Weinstein. Like it started out, and basically it's a bastard cousin of Me Too, right? Me Too started out this thing, and it just kind of blossomed or bloomed into this other thing where now anybody who does anything despicable will be shut down, will be destroyed, right?
Yeah.
So, but the point is, there's two ways of canceling people. There's social media destruction, and there's you get shot in the face destruction. So, like, you can't condemn one, to celebrate your depiction of another.
So, do you know
that's what is cancel culture other than, if not shooting people who attack you,
right?
That's another form of that's another extreme reaction.
Correct.
To to the inability to communicate.
That is the long hard cancel.
Yeah, and I don't mean to equate it. I'm not equating it, but I'm saying you're depicting the comeuppance of one particular act of fiendishness, right? Of despicable behavior, making fun of people, humiliating people in public, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And your depiction of the solution to that, not the director's idea of the solution of it, but his depiction of a potential solution to that, or a potential outcome of that, because that's a better way of putting it, right? Is that you could be shot in the face. You could be shot several times, hunted down by a guy in a clown outfit, and shot, right? Or you could get on Twitter, say something stupid, and then you lose your livelihood.
Right.
So, I mean, they're two sides of the same kind of coin, right? So I don't understand his tone deaf reaction to. I mean, if he was smart, he should have been like, "This is exactly what this movie is about."
His tone deaf reaction, though, is exactly what every celebrity right now is doing when they market their film now. And again, he could genuinely feel these thoughts. He could genuinely feel that his movie was being unfairly attacked. But whether or not he genuinely did or didn't, he actually rode the playbook completely the way it's supposed to be done, is to rally people by kind of assigning a political value to what this is. You're not just watching a movie, you're watching a cause.
And that's what cancels. That's what kind of kills, in my opinion, and to me, not to you. Well, we're gonna definitely cover your. That's what kills a movie to me. Not it's not a. This is an honest depiction of a man falling into descending into madness through depression and through the total tone deafness of the artist who made it. Who then follows the marketing playbook to the nth degree to be able to sell it. And he's selling it against the atmosphere that he made the movie to depict.
I can see that.
It totally negates the power of the statement that he was trying to make.
Sure. Right?
And so now it's just exploitation of mentally handicapped people, and it's and then like also the statement of, I wanted to slip a real movie into the comic book movie, which he's not taking any heat for, even though it's kind of the same thing that Scorsese said, right? But Scorsese, and then regardless of the contributions that Scorsese's made to cinema, people are trying to cancel Scorsese because they love comic book movies. The whole fucking, the entire the entire atmosphere is a circus.
It's
all a circus, and there's a clown at the center of it.
Yes,
now, so it's appropriate.
His thoughts on slipping a real movie into a comic book movie, I think, are actually 100% correct. Though, I mean, this is exactly what I felt. I couldn't help but also hear those words as I'm watching this, and I got to tell you, one of the most refreshing moments, and this is going to sound really backwards, was when he finally does don the Joker outfit. He's dressed as a clown numerous times. In those times when he's just a clown, it's just being a sad clown. I'm just watching a mentally ill-equipped, unreliable narrator tell me a story of his mental demise. And I'm getting, again, I don't think we've said this yet enough. Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Beautifully acted, unbelievably acted, unbelievably shot, great cinematography. I love the blending of 70s New York City with this like Gotham. I love all this stuff. But the best, most refreshing moment for me was when he actually becomes the Joker, because then I can kind of go, oh, thank God it's just a comic book movie. Thank God.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other thing. That's the other thing I told you about last week. That I said, the problem is he's going to be the hero, regardless of what anybody's going to be able to say about this film. That regardless of what your intent is, you're going to watch him take a beating for an hour and a half, and as soon as he puts that Joker costume on, you're going to be like, thank God he's going to get some, he's going to go get some, because that's all we want to see. That's a natural inclination that we want to see someone who we are identifying with, and he's getting the crap stomped out of him, and we want to see him rise up and get the people who have assaulted him. It's just a natural.
It also speaks
reaction
to the power of costumes. And I was thinking about this. So, I mean, at the end of the day, when I said, I'm sorry for bringing that up, but when the movie was over, and when I actually said, like, I didn't know how to feel about this, and I posted this on Facebook. We'll get some people's reactions from social media in a little bit, but it wasn't a negative. It's not a negative. I really don't know how to feel about this, because there is that scene when he becomes Joker, when he's in full Joker gala, that to me, I'm sitting there going, well, I get why he's feeling powerful. When he got up the stage to be a stand-up comedian, and he stumbled and sputtered, and he was using his medically induced nervous laugh because he was in a bad situation mentally, and he had anxiety. By the time he gets onto De Niro's talk show, he is completely at ease. But to me, he's at ease because he's dressed as Joker. It's almost like it fulfills its own prophecy. And we do this in our life, in all of our lives. When you wear a suit somewhere, you feel fancier, and if it's the right context, you wear a suit somewhere, you look good or something, the way we dress, the way we present ourselves. I mean, I see cosplayers. I saw so many cosplayers this weekend. You saw them as well too. They have a sense of power, and it's weird how, I'll look at cosplayers at a convention and be like, I just don't get it. I watch this movie and I'm like, all right, I get it. You become somebody, get to become somebody else. And I felt like when he became Joker, he finally got a chance to just not be Arthur Fleck. And it was a powerful moment. And for me, at least, the other thought I had while watching this movie took me back to college. And I should have looked this up before we spoke about the movie. There was a night, it was a Friday night, and actually I wasn't in college, I was visiting college, so it was even better. So I had money in my pocket, and but I was in a college town for the weekend. It was great. And we're like, okay, we want to go out. And what's the heroin movie with Jared Leto and Marlon Wayans? When we go to break.
Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream, yes. We're all like getting excited to like go hang out and do stuff and hang out. And someone's like, all right, well, we got time to kill. It's like 7:30 or it's like 8:00, and things don't start until like 10 or 11 o'clock in college. So we're like, well, we got 2 hours to kill. What do you want to do? And we're like, hey, let's watch a movie. Hey, I heard really good things about this Requiem for a Dream. And we watched Requiem for a Dream. And by the time 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock rolled around, we were so like buzzkilled. We didn't go out. We're like, Dude, life is hard. Life
Yeah.
sucks. When they're like cutting Marlon
Yeah,
Wayans' arm off.
that's not
You
a party
know,
movie.
we're
That
like,
is
this
not a
was
party
really
movie.
bad. So when I was when he finally became Joker, I kind of got uplifted after I felt like I was reliving Requiem for a Dream because I came into this with a lot of like hype.
That's what I was saying. That is the natural progression of a movie like that. Whenever a character that you've been following becomes empowered because they've been downtrodden through the entire, which is fine. Like that's a good study of narrative, of journey narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good study of it. The problem is, what are you talking about? You know, everybody is crap, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is treated badly. Everybody lives badly. It's not like, so like, okay, you get crapped on.
Mm-hmm.
You get beat up. You get lied to by your parents, maybe, and they, there's a story they haven't. Okay, all right. Not everybody grabs a gun and blows somebody away. And that's the thing. It's like and maybe that was the attention of the art in and of itself, that there was no moral to it, that that it attempted to do no moral.
Yep.
Because you cannot. It's too simplistic to say we need to treat each other better.
Right.
It is too simplistic a thing to say. There are extenuating circumstances as to why some people get treated the way they are treated.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the natural inclination of our society, the way it is now, is to be defensive and to be belligerent and to try to brazen your way through just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's really nothing that we try to do on an even keel level that just kind of allows us to be harmonious with our surroundings. Everything we're doing through, especially via social media, is us trying to rock star our way through pretty much every facet of life, including the cosplay.
At Syre Studios on Instagram. Follow us at Syre_studios on Twitter.
Good joke. Anyway, so it's there it is.
We had to go to break anyway. When we come back, more Joker. I want to get into a review I read that actually kind of nails for me what was missing and why I think I felt so empty. And Hassan and I talk about that ending. Oh, that ending. When we come back. The Syre Volume 2 trade paperback is available now on Comixology.com. Telling the story of a superhero forced by his own costume to fight evil, Volume 2, Lost in Time, features the Syre taking on a superpowered mob, a West Coast threat, and dinosaurs. Featuring a cover by Jim Calafiore and art by superstars Talent Caldwell, Tony Moy, Daniel Leister, Sue Sherpa, and more, this trade collects Syres 7 through 10 and features all new bonus material. Go to Comixology.com and type in The Syre in the search bar to purchase your digital copy today. That's the... Welcome back to Secrets of the Syre, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Brought to you by On Location Tours. Go to onlocationtours.com, type in the code SECRETS, SECRETS, at checkout, and get a 10% discount. We are also brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, dedicated fans, Tom Osa, Craig Caruso, Einar Peterson, Matt Beyer, Ashley Haikai, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, Steve Ovecki, Program Director Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan, Christina Dolce. We are talking Joker movie. We are diving head on into the, I'm going to use air quotes here, controversial film. I started this off by kind of talking about the emptiness I felt when I left and the uncertainty as to what exactly I just watched. Here is a review, and it's actually talking about what the comic is based off of as well, too. So this is from theatlantic.com. The comic that explains where Joker went wrong, and it talks about Alan Moore's classic 1988 story, Batman the Killing Joke, which is supposedly the inspiration for Todd Phillips' grim new film. In The Killing Joke, Moore took the earlier tale of Joker's origins and tried to deepen it. The 45-page one-shot story reveals Joker's past. He was a struggling stand-up comedian who lost his wife and unborn child in an accident, embarked on the robbery of a chemical plant to make ends meet, fell into a vat while fleeing Batman. It removes the Joker's background as master criminal and emphasizes that he was a relatively ordinary man who had one bad day that drove him to lunacy. It was a shocking story within the parameters of DC Comics, all the more so because it was presented as canon, not as an adult-oriented tale. And the story, basically, Phillips keeps much of Moore's characterizations, tracking the life of Arthur Fleck as he struggles with mental illness, is attacked and harassed, and becomes a figure of public ridicule. But the one thing that Joker lacks, and that's this film, not The Killing Joke, is Batman. I had two things that I thought, I mentioned this in the earlier segment, though. I felt such a relief, and you pointed out, you kind of saw this coming, when he becomes Joker. However, at this point, I did also want to see a Batman. I did want, I needed a Batman here to kind of give me some sort of like relief, because, and he says it in this article, right? And this is coming off of The Atlantic. Without Batman to play off, the reason for Joker's existence as a protagonist is vague at best. The narrative tracks his evolution into an evil creature, providing a revamped and simplistic origin story for a figure who has only ever existed as a distorted mirror image of the Cape Crusader. Even when compared with Moore and Boland's comic, Joker is a bitter and humorless work, an attempt to add gravitas to a character who typically hasn't stood for anything broadly metaphorical. I actually couldn't agree more. I mean, that was the one element I'm sitting there. I got really super excited. Or I shouldn't say super excited. I got relieved when he became Joker. But that relief, by the time he is freed by the mob, when he gets, hit by the ambulance, is kind of like, there's no one here to stop this riot. There's no one here to like save the day, so to speak. Like, again, just kind of walked away, kind of feeling like, what was the point? Right?
Are you saying that there was no moral or cathartic ending to this?
There was no moral and cathartic ending.
Pretty much what I said last segment. So.
Yes. But I said because there's no Batman.
It's bullshit. There's no need for Batman. There's no need for Batman. It's not a Batman movie.
No, it's not.
It's not a Batman movie. It's not a comic book movie in and of itself.
Right.
It's literally not the origin of the Joker. Even Todd Phillips has played around with the notion that it's not genuinely the origin of the Joker, right? So it's a guy who's crazy, who watches comic book movies and dresses himself up as the Joker after he murdered 3 people because they were kicking him. So I mean, that's the whole point of the film. The whole point is, huh?
They were rich.
It wasn't even,
they were 1%.
Because they're not even depicted as being rich. You know why they're not 100% rich? Because they were on a damn train at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's no rich people on the train at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so that's another aspect of it. There are so many aspects of the film that don't make any sense, that don't fit, and it's just being driven by this command performance by the lead actor, who is who is engrossing and can capture us. And people keep wanting to expand on it, and they want a sequel, and they want to see Batman in it, and they're getting it all wrong. The point of it is just a one-off. It's not, and I'm not talking about it's a one-off, we're never going to get this again. The point of it is that there is no sequel, because the guy is insane. There is no great cathartic ending to him becoming a criminal mastermind because he was pushed too far. Right? He ended up murdering people, and he went to the insane asylum. That is the end of it. Okay, it is catharsis on the society that we live in that treats people terribly and people fall through the cracks. But it's also a cautionary catharsis to people who allow themselves to be deluded, who allow themselves to fall through these particular cracks, and then they get and decide, because I don't understand. There's been no mechanism yet to explain to us yet why some people who are pushed too far are incapable of life incapable of function,
Right.
incapable of self examination and self reparation, but they are extremely capable of pinpoint accurate violence. Okay, and that
Yeah.
they can destroy, and that their notion is to destroy in order to make some kind of statement about how small the world has made them feel.
Right.
And that is the ultimate the ultimate takeaway from this is why it's not like, oh, watch out, because if you treat people badly, they will become lions and destroy you. It's where does the connection get broken between I feel like crap, everybody's treating me like crap.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot everybody. I'm going to start murdering people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, get them to stop treating you like crap. I mean, there's ways even poor people can lift themselves up, and I'm not talking financially.
Sure.
You know, so there is a conceit. The movie has its own conceit that this is the natural evolution of people who are overlooked.
Well, it's like The Purge almost.
Yeah, it's not.
Right.
You know, or if we're going to examine it completely.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh man, you know, don't mistreat your friends because they might put clown makeup on and shoot you. You know, I mean, that's the notion of the story, and it makes no sense.
It's funny you mentioned there's no sequel because Todd Phillips has actually said there could be.
He said there would be no sequel until his check cleared. And now he's saying that there could be a sequel. So does Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix says he loves playing the character.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, so it's funny on Collider, they actually had 5 ways Arthur Fleck's story could continue in a Joker sequel. I don't want to go into it necessarily, but I do want to do is bring up one of their possibilities, which actually which is the end of the film. And one of the things that I actually even thought of this entire time as I'm watching this, because he's such an unreliable narrator. Those words, unreliable narrator, I read in a tweet somewhere, and I couldn't help but have that in my head. So a lot of the shocking, again, this is our spoiler-filled review, you know, moments like when Zazie Beetz' character is not really there the entire time. You knew it didn't surprise me only because I knew what to expect already. Right. One of the things is Arthur never became Joker. It could be that he was caught sometime later and imprisoned for the murder of Murray Franklin, but it could be, and this is talking about the end of the film when he's talking to his social worker inside Arkham Asylum. It could be that he was in prison long before that, possibly for the murder on the train that kickstarted the Joker movement, making the third act of Joker all part of a lie or a hallucination from Arthur. It wouldn't even be out of the question, as we saw previously in the film, that he imagined all his scenes with Sophie. That's Zazie Beetz' character. We've also seen the character.
He didn't even have a job as a clown.
I mean, it literally could be that entire film was him in a mental institution the entire time, and that was to me a little bit of an M. Night Shyamalan, Alfred Hitchcocky thought.
I agree with you. I think if I was allowed to take this movie as it is on its own, I would have had a profoundly different point of view to it.
Yeah.
But since and this is my fault, since it's covered up in all this other wrapping, you know, since it's called the Joker.
Yeah.
Since the director went on a rampage before the film started, because the fans went on a rampage before the film started,
right? And
because of, you know, a number of other things, because everybody's having this kind of visceral reaction to it, and they're like, "Oh, this is my new favorite Joker," and it's, you know, it's like, wait a minute, there's nothing here, really.
Yeah,
there's no revolution here.
Yeah,
you took a standard 90s movie about the decay of our society, which is what this is, and just slapped a comic book, an MCU, you know, sticker on it. It's
right.
not MCU, but you know, the
I know what you mean.
is not
I know
real.
What you mean.
So okay, but MCU is the you know, it's basically the gold standard right now.
DCU.
So you slap, I said DCU. You basically slapped a veneer on it
Yeah.
and said, now it's a piece of art. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's like if I took the Mona Lisa and I put one red line down the middle, and I said, now it's perfect. And everyone's like, oh my God, the audaciousness of it, the boldness of it. And you're like, wait a minute, like all he did was paint over someone else's painting. And that's kind of how I feel about it, because I don't have anything to take away with it. Of course society sucks. Of course people shouldn't treat each other badly. Of course, but there's no way to know, and this is the other side of it, there's no way to know if everybody treated Arthur well.
Right.
He still wouldn't have ended up there.
Right.
He was disconnected from the beginning.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So, I mean, there's no message here. It's just a story. It's just a series of events that came to a climactic conclusion.
Yeah.
That's all there was. And it's a series of unfortunate events, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like this. It wasn't a big, bold statement about anything, really. That's the joke of the film. It's not really saying a damn thing.
You wouldn't get it. Jenna Lynn Zima, I do not have a love for comic book characters in general, so my opinion might not matter to the diehard fan. However, I thought it was outstanding. The story and acting were wildly difficult to watch, but in a good way. Joaquin Phoenix was frightening to the core. Ted Lodi, this movie was entirely character-driven and has less plot and action-driven than your typical superhero movie. It's a fresh approach to a DC film, breaking out of the traditional superhero movie formula. It had very little CGI, no use of superpowers. The action and fight scenes were more realistic. Joaquin Phoenix's performance, I felt it matched, possibly exceeded Heath Ledger's own performance. Not an easy feat. He's obviously going to be compared. He's going to be compared to Heath Ledger no matter what.
Yes,
Heath Ledger's character, though, to me was scary. Joaquin Phoenix's was depressing. I think there's a big difference.
Or Heath Ledger was menace.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is this is what's wrong with it. His portrayal was encouraging or uplifting when he finally put that. I mean, it didn't even explain where he got that suit from, because even I want that suit, that orange suit. Even I was like, wow, it's not appropriate for any social setting that we would ever be in. But I'm like, wow, that's an amazing suit. But I mean, it's kind of empowering how he, and that's another thing. And Grace Randolph actually also said the constant notion that Arthur had a heart, that he had compassion, and that he was pushed too far, also kind of doesn't help us transition into the crown, the clown prince of crime.
Well, I mean, again,
it's like, how does he turn into a criminal? I know it's probably not him, and that's another aspect of it. But then it doesn't really help us get to the point. It doesn't help us transition into that.
Well, Paul Donato,
you could do another movie where Joaquin Phoenix is still in the asylum and then he thinks he's the Penguin. You could keep doing them. You can just keep doing, and then he's the Riddler. And then
what a twist! Paul Donato, fantastic, dark, intense, sad, captivating performance. Then, meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Mike O'Neill, it's a corporate branded remake of Taxi Driver. Todd Phillips is just a bland version of Quentin Tarantino. Johnny Wellens on Twitter. I didn't like it after I saw it, but I didn't think it was a bad movie. It just didn't work for me. Honestly, the more time I've had to reflect on it, the more I've soured. At least Joaquin Phoenix was fantastic. People take away drastically different things from it, which can be good or bad, but I choose to think it's a good thing. Even if I don't like it, I can totally see why others do. I think that sums it up. I mean, at the end of the day,
I'm glad it exists. I agree with it.
Yes. I think at the end of the day, we can all kind of like say, you know what, this is a good thing in terms of just movie making. And again, I'm the worst fan in the world because when we were growing up as fans, this wasn't the biggest thing on the planet. It was a niche thing. You could make it kind of cool.
Comic book movies, you mean?
Comic books in general, comic book characters. I mean, now it's the mainstream. It's the norm. I miss the days where I would go and watch, quote unquote real movies. So if Todd Phillips is able to actually slip one in, I'm all about it. All right,
I'll have to wait before you break out. I have to actually say that I haven't been enthusiastic or excited for this movie since I saw the trailer for it, and I remember saying it to you many times. And I went to see the film grudgingly so that we could review it. I will admit that. Having that said, I was watching and I'm like, no, this is doing it. This is a full-fledged movie. I'm enjoying it. I'm able to follow it. I'm not hate watching it. I came out of it kind of feeling the way I explained, and I feel it's kind of an empty calorie kind of situation. I don't know what the message was. It was a little lost, but like I said, I'm glad it exists. I think it's a well done film. I think that it's deserving of the praise that it's getting. I question some of the praise, but I think it deserves the praise it's getting.
Right.
And I'm glad it exists. I think it's a good, it was a
I
good
think
turn.
my dad summed it up great. The only flaw he really found in it was the fact he says, I don't know how he suffocates his mom when she has an oxygen tube in her nose.
There's so many.
I didn't think you could do that. And I'm like,
there's so many. Like, wait,
like, you know what?
Why is Thomas Wayne a jerk? Like
I know.
Why is Alfred a jerk? Even though maybe that wasn't Alfred. You never heard his name.
Yeah. That was
Alfred.
Why was Ricky Gervais playing Alfred? That was the bigger question.
And it's just like there's a number of
wasn't really.
I know it was not Ricky. That's why
I'm just letting everyone else know.
Yeah.
Like, what? I've got to go see it now. I love The Office. All right. When we come back, we've got Syfywire's Kevin Sharp on. He is going to break down his version of the movie, his review of the movie, and also kind of clue us in. Is there any comic book basis for the Joker we just watched when we come back? Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, YouTube.com/Secrets of the Sire, and Twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire. Joining me now is Syfywire's own Kevin Sharp. Kevin, how you doing, sir?
Great, Michael. Thank you for the invite. Nice to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you. You're the jack of many writing trades, master of none, correct?
That is a term. I am borrowing that term as it's been used to apply to me. I cannot take credit for inventing it.
Oh, just take credit. We do it all the time. We take credit for all of it.
I invented it. In fact, jack of trades is also mine.
Yeah, say that now you know the spirit of the show. This is
yes.
Good. Give folks out there a rundown of the many writing things that you do.
Well, there's do and have done. I call myself a recovering screenwriter.
Yeah.
I have written fiction. I have written for magazines. I wrote my first video game last year. You mentioned Syfywire. I contribute to a couple of other comic book sites, and I run an interview series on fanbasepress.com, which is called Between the Panels, and it's a comic creator interview series that started off with our mission was, the slogan was, discover your next favorite creator, meaning we weren't going to take the superstars. We were going to do like the AAA league and kind of let people discover brand new names. But since now our series includes names like Joelle Jones and Jen Bartel, that kind of is blown up in a good way.
Good. So you'll interview Hassan and I next. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah. Can't wait, guys. I will give you the equal amount of love that's coming my way tonight.
Oh. Well,
yeah.
That's it. Interview's over. We're all done. All right. So Hassan and I talked a bunch about Joker already, but I want to hear your take about the Joker movie. And then, one of the reasons we have you on is I want to really go into the depths of the character itself in the comics for those out there that might not, be as aware. So first of all, what was your take on the Joker film?
So I should just preface this with, I was excited for this movie. I haven't watched any of the trailers. I've just seen the promotional images, the poster, but I tend to stay away from trailers. I learned the hard way about this.
Sure.
So what was exciting about the Joker for me was that as much as I enjoy all of the Marvel movies, and I enjoy all of. I would call the worst Marvel movie. Maybe I'd grade it a C, which is a pretty good batting average.
Sure.
Even when there's kind of a wilder director at the helm, they kind of all feel from the same assembly line.
Yeah.
And that's not a negative. They've
Nope.
created a bullpen, and that's their business model, and great. So what was exciting about the Joker for me was I had no idea what to expect walking into this. It could be terrible. It could be brilliant. It could be somewhere in the middle. With a Marvel movie, you know, I kind of walk in kind of knowing with some variation what I'm going to get quality-wise and experience-wise.
Yep.
So there's my preamble. I should also add, my favorite Martin Scorsese movie is The King of Comedy. I don't know if you guys have seen The King of Comedy.
Yes.
I know it, yes.
So this movie was an interesting experience. It is certainly not, as you guys have touched on, probably the Joker that anybody knows from the comics, which is not bad. Great.
Right.
Great. Stake out some new ground. I didn't love it. I kind of, in a way, it felt a little, I wish it had felt more dangerous. I was walking in with some trepidation. You know, there are all these stories you see on social media and stuff, fears about, and security about the Joker. And honestly, it felt kind of about as dangerous as a mid-1980s Charles Bronson, you know, urban vigilante movie.
It didn't even feel like that. I mean, you're watching a character drama unfold the entire time.
Yeah.
It's not as if it's just some sort of like, you know, blank check to kill people, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
So it's not that I don't want to say I was disappointed in that regard, but it felt safer than kind of what I was expecting going in.
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix obviously swings for the fences and is fantastic, as always.
Sure.
The production design is magnificent. It's a Gotham City that we've never really seen on film before. It's kind of late 70s, early 80s New York City, but not quite that.
Late 70s, early 80s Bronx is what it looks like.
Right, yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
It looks like the neighborhood I grew up in, actually.
I don't want to subtweet any comic series with this next comment, but it did remind me of certain comic books where you look at the art and you go, wow, every page of this could be hanging in a gallery.
Sure.
This is magnificent, but there's nothing there underneath the surface.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I walked out feeling.
Yeah,
I kind of had a sense of, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
Just my last comment would be, why did you make that? Other than as an actor's showcase, I understand that. What were you trying to get at? He's a clown who's sad and the world is hard, ... and now he's the Joker.
Yeah.
Well, that ... is a whole universe.
I mean, you and I are right on the same mark when it comes to that, because I mean, I remember walking out of the theater and it just felt, you know, it wasn't even the same like a Marvel movie where you eat a lot of candy sometimes and it's good, you know, like Thor Ragnarok is cotton candy. Like you're eating cotton candy, you're like, this is the oh wow, and you get this rush and then you walk out and you're like, oh, my stomach hurts. This was kind of like, I don't know what, did I eat anything? Did I walk out? Did I get anything out of it? So I think you and I are kind of on the same page when it comes to that too. And Hassan and I obviously went back and forth a bunch, as we always do. You mentioned this is not the Joker of the comics. This is supposedly, and we talked about this in our earlier segment as well too, based on the Killing Joke, loosely on the Killing Joke,
on his depiction. Like it's not based on the story, but it's based on you know, the Joker, the aspects of the Joker from the Killing Joke.
So Kevin, give us a little backstory. You know, the Killing Joke and how it might have applied to this film.
So when the Killing Joke came out, and I was a young punk who somehow got a job at a comic book store when that came out. They hired me even though I was way too young for their supposed age limit. So I remember that very clearly. The Killing Joke, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, which would be good listening material, everyone knew the Killing Joke was, they didn't have Elseworlds at that time in DC Comics, but they had what's called an imaginary story. The Killing Joke wasn't continuity because that wasn't the Joker's origin, as it had never been laid down, was the whole idea. All we knew about the Joker before that is he was the Red Hood. They were robbing a chemical plant. He fell in this vat of chemicals and either went insane or more insane. So the Killing Joke was just a one-off story. And then suddenly in regular DC continuity, Barbara Gordon is crippled in a wheelchair. And everybody went, whoa, time out. When did this happen? Like, so that is the Joker's origin now? That was kind of the baffling part.
Yeah.
As a failed stand-up comedian, I didn't reread The Killing Joke in recent months. I remember he has a sick wife or a wife he's taking care of in some regard.
Yep.
They have money troubles. That's why he does the chemical plant robbery. Yep. And even the Batman in that flashback is drawn as the Golden Age Batman, which harkens back to the original story.
Right.
So I guess you could say that they're similar in that it's an origin of the Joker as a sad sack who through I think I'm hesitant to heap too much praise on the Killing Joke because I do have some problems with it. And going back to my earlier comment, the art in there could be in a museum.
Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's Brian Bolland.
That's absolutely gorgeous.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I do have some issues with it as a story, but I think at least I could say in the Killing Joke, I see where the Joker came from.
Yeah.
I think in this movie, again, going back to that, where they kind of yada, yada, yada in between, he's sad and he's a comedian, and now he's a killer.
Yeah. So is there any context in the comics for what we see on screen here? Or is this...
This is all... Really. This is all new stuff, and I'm not saying that as a criticism. Right. Again, it's going in off balance. Like, what are they going to do?
This is Ultimate Universe Joker, essentially.
I think maybe my pushback would be, and they've already said this Joker is not going to be in the context of the Matt Reeves Batman film.
Right.
No.
But good, because this is not a Joker. If this particular Joker met Batman, okay, 3 seconds later, he's on to the next villain.
Right.
Like, this is more the Brett Lusky the clown than the Joker from the comics.
Yeah.
This is not a diabolical supervillain.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would do this in context. I mean, I understand why they did it because it's money, right? And there's an opportunity to make money. But they had such a, I don't know if you would describe it correctly as a hard time, but they had an interesting time trying to establish Jared Leto's Joker in the follow-up to Heath Ledger's amazing.
Sure.
That, which was always, I always find it a bit ironic that The Dark Knight is my least favorite Batman film, but that's my favorite Joker. It's a very strange dichotomy. So you have to follow up Heath Ledger's performance. Unfortunately, Heath Ledger died, so he has immortalized that performance, right?
Yep.
He'll never play it again, so he'll never ruin that.
Right. There's never right.
He'll never overstay his welcome with that. So now you've got Jared Leto. I didn't have a problem really with Jared Leto's. I thought mainly it was script that he didn't really get any. He didn't get any scenery to chew, anything really to do, but. He seemed interesting enough to keep watching, right? But again, he's doing a follow-up to Heath Ledger, right? So now you're trying desperately to establish a new Joker for your continuity, for your cinematic universe, and you just throw in this other guy, and then you throw in Joaquin Phoenix, who, even if we don't love his Joker, which we've gone over it. Even regardless of how we feel about his Joker, his performance is amazing in the film, right? So it's charismatic and amazing. Now, the only thing you're gonna be able to do is compare the two Jokers. Now, whoever they get to play, if they keep Jared Leto,
Mm-hmm.
or if they get a new Joker for the new Batman movie.
I hope they don't even go back to Joker. I mean, that's the one thing we don't need. You know, I mean,
Right, but they're doing a Harley Quinn. I mean, they're everything is Joker adjacent.
Yeah,
you know?
I know.
So it's. I mean, and all roads lead to Joker anyway. When you're dealing with Batman, all roads eventually his level boss is always going to be the Joker or some kind of Joker, some kind of Joker palette, right? So I don't know from a business point what was all right. Why would you throw a whole nother Joker who's like outside of the purview of these movies? Why would you do that? You're having such a hard time establishing your continuity universe in the first place.
That's a great segue, Hassan. Kevin, what did you make of the rewriting Batman's history?
Again, I'm kind of thinking of this as an Elseworlds, because the DC movie universe and the DC television universe and the DC streaming service universe are you're seeing the multiverse on screens. Nothing even bothers me anymore. The Ezra Miller Flash is like no Flash ever in the history of comics.
Yeah.
But yet I just recognize and say, okay, it's the Earth, just name your number version of Flash, 82. And I just let it go. So this I just watched and just I think, Michael, what I'm going to come back to is nothing got a rise out of me.
Yeah.
There wasn't ever no point where I sat forward in my seat other than just kind of internally nodding in admiration of, wow, the lead performance in this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just called this movie Sad Clown, and it was the exact same movie, changed the name of the Waynes, I wonder how popular it would be.
Probably. It would probably be critically acclaimed.
Well, but
it would probably not be going on to be a worldwide sensation like
right. But that's exactly what Todd Phillips even said in his promotional tour of words, which he probably shouldn't do. Is like, we're going to sneak a real movie into a comic book movie. We're going to call it Joker.
Right.
Which.
Yeah, Todd Phillips, his PR people need to be fired. He's got the PR people that Ryan Johnson has. And it's just your interaction with your audience and blaming an entire half of your audience for it's seemingly premature anyway, because the movie came out and did fine. And I mean, more than fine. So no one was like threatening the destruction of his movie in the first place. There are premature concerns about violence. And then when you watch the film, considering all the trouble we're having in the country with that kind of, audacious violence that we're going through, you can understand why that rubbed people the wrong way. Granted, the criticism or the attempt to cancel the movie before it came out was just as ill-conceived, just as misguided. But I don't understand getting into a fist fight with your audience, as a director.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So, but I mean, it's not costing him anything. So he's, there goes that.
And Kevin, you may or may not know this, but in doing a lot of research for this movie, I was actually talking to a friend of mine at New York Comic Con this weekend. He's just like, well, there are 3 Jokers. So in the continuity, are you familiar with Jeff Johns' run on Justice League?
I am familiar, yes. And I'm familiar with DC set this up, I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're still, Jason Fabok is supposedly drawing this series that may or may not be in continuity. Nobody's quite said yet. No one really knows.
Mm-hmm.
Not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but it's based on this where Batman sits in this Mobius chair, which is, for those who aren't familiar, it's from the New Gods mythology. And suddenly has all knowledge. While he's sitting in this chair, he essentially becomes a god. And one of his questions to the chair is, tell me the Joker's real name. And the answer is, there are 3 Jokers.
Yeah.
So that's the setup. And again, I want to say 2 years ago, we're still waiting for the payoff story from that. So no one knows anything beyond the art that Jason Fabok has shared on social media.
I mean, do you think, Todd Phillips has actually hinted at a sequel, and we talked about it in an earlier segment as well, too. I mean, do you think they would tie the Justice League story with the three Jokers to the Jared Leto to the Heath Ledger version. I mean, even just like loosely like X-Men movie based continuity, which didn't make sense.
If you want to call the X-Men movies continuity, that would be an interesting stretching of that word.
Air quotes again.
Yes. So I'm going to say I hope not, because but in this way, again, nothing but praise for the Marvel Factory and what they've done.
Yeah.
DC is not going to play on that field.
Yeah.
I think the best bet for Warner Brothers is turn all of these movies over to individual voices, no continuity, no tie-in, treat it like a series of one-shot standalone issues, for lack of a better term, and let everybody just tell their story. I'm glad they've said this is not going to be a Batman cut, because Thomas Wayne as the rich a-hole who's running for mayor, that's
antithetical to every other depiction of Thomas Wayne.
Including the creation of the character.
Right.
That's antithetical to everything. So what I mean by that is I hope they don't tie it together, and I hope the lesson that they take from the success of Joker, and again, Hassan, going back to what you said, the answer to almost any of a movie making question that starts with why ... is the answer is usually money. I hope the lesson in this case is not, the audience wants dark villain movies, so next we'll make Penguin and then Scarecrow and on with that.
Yeah.
How about just make interesting standalone movies that don't have to tie together to anything? That's my hope.
That'd be asking too much. All right.
Maybe.
Last question. For people that have seen the movie, whether they like it or not like it, give them a palate cleanser. Give them some of your best Joker stories they could go read in the comics. Okay, well, I'm going to start off with a big ticket item, and then I'll shrink down from there in case this is beyond what people are interested in spending. DC just, I want to say 2 months ago, put out the Joker Bronze Age Omnibus, which collects a smattering of Joker stories from, I want to say, early 70s into the mid 80s. Neil Adams, Jim Aparo, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and the entire Joker had a solo comic book series in the 70s that lasted 9 issues before it was canceled. That is entirely included in this book. It is a beautiful package. And Joker's not even one of my favorite Batman villains. And this book is amazing. Okay.
So, but again, that's a big ticket item. I'm going to say a Joker story, I'll give 2 picks here. My favorite classic, meaning older school Joker story, is called The Laughing Fish by Steve Rogers. And the best cliche to saying your favorite Beethoven piece is the Ninth Symphony, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's a collection, a trade paperback collection of Engelhardt and Rogers' Detective Comics run. And this is a 2-part story in there. The Laughing Fish, it's called. Love it. And then a little bit newer, I'm going to pick Mad Love by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, which is a one-shot, ties into the animated series. So it's more of a Joker and Harley Quinn story, but it's just delightful. It's a total joy, and it's just a great reading and visual experience. Those would be my 2 picks.
Kevin, where can we find you online?
Find me on Twitter at @KevinSharp, and my website is kevinsharpwriter.com, and there are links on that site to my fan-based press interviews and other comics writing. That's kind of a clearinghouse for everything.
Very, very cool.
Awesome.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for giving us some good expert backbone to this controversial, I will say for other reasons, movie they call The Joker.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
When we come back, we go spinning the racks. I'm everything my 19-year-old self fought hard to not be.
Yes, you are the.
It's like 19-year-old self is like,
you've
don't
become
sell out.
what you hate. You've become the enemy.
19-year-old self, don't sell out. 39-year-old self is like,
sell out every night.
Out. Sell it out, baby.
First sign of trouble. Sell out.
Ooh. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I want to thank our guest, Kevin Sharp. Again, you can go find him at that Kevin Sharp. There's other Kevin Sharps out there.
So not the other Kevin Sharp. It's
go to
that.
fanbasepress.com and kevinsharpwriter.com. Check out his stuff. He's also Monkeys Fighting Robots writer, Syfywire. Does a whole bunch of stuff, and it will be great.
Spoiler alert, the robots win.
We do this. I don't think that's true. We do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack. Spin that rack.
All right. I mean, we basically did a spin the racks with Kevin because he gave us a lot of comic book knowledge, but we figured we would save our actual spin the racks segment to talk about New York Comic Con.
Are you still reading House of X and Powers of X?
I am, and we definitely.
We don't need to go into it, but you're still on board.
I'm on board, but actually, I need to pick up the latest issues. So when we do our penultimate,
we'll talk.
We'll do it on a future future episode of this show. But anyway, we are talking New York Comic Con recap. We were both in attendance. I was at the Sire Studios booth all weekend long.
Yes. I was there
Hassan was there.
In comparison.
You were there. Oh, you were there on Saturday. Well, yes, in comparison, yes, but all day Saturday. And what was your takeaway from the con? And I'll give you mine.
Same as usual. I mean, it's just this extravaganza. It's enormous. I don't know. I felt the crowds were a little better this year, and I don't mean there were less of them or more of them. I mean the temperament was a little better. People were a little less. I mean, we did run into this angry school teacher woman at one point.
Oh yeah.
But
that's the funny thing is I'm there for like 2 days prior to that. A day after you leave, nothing but pleasant exchanges. You come, you get yelled at by a school teacher because we're kind of going through the. I don't know.
Godwin. They know. Anyone who's in my orbit just becomes a despicable human being. There was there's a ton of stuff to see. I didn't see half of the stuff that was there. Just get your cardio on. Get your cardio on to be able to do. First of all, I don't know how you did the show for 4 days. I know you had a booth, so you had a place to sit, so you could every now and then you could take a load off, and you were selling. So you were mostly stationary, even though you were on your feet 90% of the time.
It went by fast. I got to be honest. It went by. I mean, I was there every single day. First of all, from a sales standpoint, we blew it up. It was our best, Sire Studios' best show ever.
Congrats.
But just from an interactive standpoint too, like, I mean, it was like boom, 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 boom. Oh crap, it's 2:00. Boom, 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 boom. Oh crap, it's like an hour to go. It really went by fast.
And you bailed early Saturday. I got
out at 6:30.
You hit a wall. You kind of sort of hit a wall.
I had some personal matters to attend to. My dad's birthday always falls on the weekend of Comic-Con, so they were having a birthday party.
You had to go take care of that. You didn't even tell me because I wasn't invited, so that's why you didn't say a word about it.
That's right. In fact, you were like, my dad's like, just don't invite Hassan.
Yeah, keep him out of here. Keep him out. He gave you a picture of me with a slash through it.
And I'm like, Dad, that's Joker. Why? I don't understand. No. But no, it went by relatively fast. This is what I'll say about the show, and this is again just kind of experiencing it. Again, this is from behind a booth. San Diego, I do signings, and I'm trying to get on a panel. I'll get on a panel one day. So I don't do a booth, but those two shows from just an event standpoint, like these are events. Like people are always like, oh, should I go to this? Should I not go to this? I'm like, no, go to this show. Thursday felt like Saturday. I literally on Friday night was like FaceTiming my wife when the show ended because I was going to go and meet. I told you meet Dave Rosenberg out at a bar and have him grab a few drinks with him.
Right.
And I'm like, why aren't you at the party right now? And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh, that's tomorrow night. Like that's Saturday.
Yeah, because it's
like Friday.
It's Friday.
But Friday felt like a Saturday. Thursday felt like a Saturday. They're flirting with the idea of moving it to a Wednesday also. And quite frankly, in most cases,
make it the whole week.
But
why would you make it the whole week?
But that's what I'm saying. Most cases, I'd be like, don't do that. In this case, I'd be like, yeah, do it. You should have a preview night Wednesday because it deserves it.
But everybody see the downside I would say to it is that certain things happen on certain days, and I understand you can't book everybody for an entire 4 days or 5 days, blah blah blah. But I'm gonna get crucified for this. I would say it should be the same show every day for everybody who cannot make it. Like, I would have
It's
loved
impossible.
to have been there. I know it's not
Impossible.
It doesn't not impossible. It's not impossible. It would change. It would change to a point where maybe it would be either redundant or it would ruin the show. Okay,
Yeah.
so I acknowledge that change is improbable, right? But it's not impossible to do. But just there are certain things. It's like, man, I wish I could do that, but I gotta be someplace else. I'm busy.
Yeah.
I cannot be there on that day.
Yeah.
So that's too bad. Like, there's certain things you miss that is too bad. I didn't even realize how much was going on.
Yeah.
That show until I saw all the stuff that came out, all the trailers, all the panels and stuff. There were some serious celebrity power at that show. This
No.
weekend.
It's a big thing. But again, I think from an actual programming point of view, though, it wasn't. It was just like San Diego. A lot of TV stuff. You have some stuff for movies, but it's not. Really. These comic conventions are now all about the TV shows because that's really where the future is. Want to thank Buddy
Isn't that
Scalera.
terrifying that television is bigger than movies now almost. That's crazy.
Want to thank Buddy Scalera for welcoming me onto the Comic Creator panel on Friday night at Comic Book School. I want
to thank Buddy Scalera for the ticket that I used.
There you go. You got
Thank
the
you,
badge
buddy.
to get in, so that was really great. Ruth Ann, got to see Ruth Ann from Aftershock Comics. Got to see Chris Simon, my old editor, from back in my Image days. Said hi to Mike Martz. Saw a whole bunch of folks. John Gonzalez, thank you for supporting us. And that's pretty much it for this week, folks. Next week, don't call it a reboot. Jay and Silent Bob are coming back. We'll see you guys next week.